Hip-hop operates on a razor-thin margin between achieving legendary status and losing it all. For decades, the genre's biggest icons have seemingly had the ability to conquer the world, only to suddenly vanish. It started in September 1996 on the Las Vegas Strip. 25-year-old Tupac Shakur was shot at a crowded intersection on Flamingo Road. The street was flooded with tourists and lit up by massive neon casino signs. Despite being surrounded by witnesses in one of the most visible places on Earth, his shooters simply drove off, leaving the murder officially unsolved for nearly 30 years. Exactly 6 months later, Christopher Wallace, the notorious B.I.G., was gunned down in Los Angeles while sitting at a red light. 2 monumental artists gone in a matter of months. That sequence of events cemented a grim narrative that hip-hop stardom carries an inherently deadly cost. But while those 2 foundational deaths set a precedent of intense street violence, looking at the legends lost since reveals a much more complicated tragedy. The real heartbreak of hip-hop's fallen stars often lies in the cruel irony of how they actually died. One of the most painful paradoxes in rap history involves artists who dedicated their lives to building sanctuaries, physical spaces meant to protect themselves and their communities from the streets, only to lose their lives right inside them. Jam Master Jay of Run DMC ran a recording studio in Jamaica, Queens, where he specifically mentored young musicians. He enforced a strict no-weapons policy to keep that studio a designated safe space. In October 2002, he was shot to death inside that exact building by 2 men he knew and trusted enough to let through the door. 17 years later, Nipsey Hussle was on a mission to economically uplift South LA. He explicitly created his business, the Marathon Clothing, to bring jobs and opportunities back to his neighborhood. In 2019, a local acquaintance approached him in the parking lot of that very store and shot him 10 times. The agonizing reality of these specific deaths is the geography. The physical spaces these men engineered to be exceptions to neighborhood violence ultimately became the exact coordinates of their passing. That same tragic irony extends to the substances that defined several iconic careers. Some artists built immense musical empires around specific vices, only to have those exact vices claim their lives. Pimp C, a pioneer of Southern hip-hop, spent years popularizing lean, a heavy sedative mixture of promethazine codeine cough syrup. In 2007, he was found dead in a hotel room. The combination of that exact syrup and an untreated case of sleep apnea caused him to simply stop breathing in his sleep. For Juice WRLD, the irony was lyrically prophetic. In his song Legends, he openly asked what the 27 Club was, rapping, "We ain't making it past 21. During a federal search of his private jet in 2019, he swallowed multiple Percocet pills to hide evidence. He suffered a massive seizure and died exactly 6 days after his 21st birthday. Mac Miller was remarkably open about his own struggles with public addiction.
Yet his death in 2018 wasn't the result of a long downward spiral. He thought he was taking legitimate prescription oxycodone. Instead, a dealer supplied him with a single batch of counterfeit pills, laced with fentanyl. But the ultimate irony is seen in artists who managed to survive the most extreme, lethal environments imaginable, only to succumb to something completely ordinary. Prodigy survived the violent rap wars of the 1990s and the dangerous streets of Queensbridge, New York. He battled sickle cell anemia his entire life. But while recovering in a Las Vegas hospital, surrounded by medical staff, the legendary rapper choked on an egg while eating breakfast in bed and could not be saved. These artists navigated the external threats of the streets, proving that sometimes the most lethal dangers bypass the block entirely, coming instead from internal health struggles, counterfeit-laced substances, or agonizingly mundane accidents. Then there is the final vector of tragedy, deaths caused neither by targeted beefs nor addiction, but by sheer, absolute randomness, being in the wrong place or making a momentary modern mistake. Takeoff was widely known as the quiet, unproblematic member of Migos who actively stayed out of trouble. In November 2022, he attended a private party at a Houston bowling alley. An argument broke out over a dice game that he had absolutely nothing to do with. He was struck and killed by stray bullets. A generation earlier, Big L,
widely regarded as one of rap's most gifted lyricists, was shot 9 times on a Harlem street corner. The drive-by was a revenge hit intended for his brother, who was sitting in a prison cell at the time. And for rising Brooklyn drill star Pop Smoke, a single social media slip proved fatal. He posted photos of gift bags he'd received from a fashion brand on Instagram. The address of his rented Hollywood Hills mansion was clearly visible on the bags, leading armed robbers directly to his door just hours later. These stories shatter the illusion of control. No amount of private security, conflict avoidance, or street savvy can protect an artist against the chaotic trajectory of a stray bullet or a momentary slip in digital privacy. As a result, hip-hop is a culture caught in a perpetual state of mourning. It is a grief that spans multiple decades, stretches across subgenres, and touches every coast. Whether it's a betrayed sanctuary in South LA, a counterfeit pill in Studio City, crossfire in a Houston bowling alley, or robbers tracking an Instagram tag, the modern landscape shows that massive fame often amplifies fatal vulnerabilities. There's a stark collision at the core of the genre. The music frequently requires hypermasculine, invincible, larger-than-life personas. But underneath the heavy chains and the chart-topping records, there is a distinctly fragile reality. The music these artists recorded will remain immortal. It is untouched by time and entirely bulletproof. But the devastating ironies of their final moments serve as a painful, permanent reminder of their sheer mortality.